Welcome to Coffee with Democrats, a sensible platform for progressive conversations. Coffee with Democrats is a grassroots movement dedicated to hearing from Democrats, candidates, legislators, and friends from all political backgrounds who want great conversations. Coffee with Democrats is committed to increase Democrat voter registration and Democrat voter turnout by making voting more exciting and meaningful. And now here's your host of Coffee with Democrats, Kevin Dawson.
Well, good evening. We have a special show today. This is going to be a lot different than what we've done in the past, so we are excited about this. We have a great guest, absolutely fantastic guest, a good friend of mine, Crystal LaGrone from Wagner County, and she's, I just lost it right there, running for House District 2012. 12. Well, I was in the ballpark. I had numbers. I had House District, right? But anyway, we are excited to have Crystal with us today, and this is going to be a fun evening. We normally do this in the morning. Today, we're in the evening. We normally talk about coffee. We're not going to talk about coffee today. We're going to talk about our evening drinks. You know, it's not spiked. I'll tell you right now, I don't have anything in it. It's straight from Taco Bell. So, and that's not an endorsement of Taco Bell either, but
we have our water bottle, which, you know, everywhere. It's not a real Stanley Cup. It's just a, knockoff. So.
But it's all good. It's all fun. Hey, got a little housekeeping we got to talk about. And this is going to be so much fun too. I'm really looking forward to it. This is going to be a blast. But in our housekeeping, we do need to talk about, if you are watching this live with us right now, we need for you to please go make a comment, share this with your friends and followers, family, neighbors. Let everybody know that you're watching this, because this is such a great conversation that we're going to have today with Crystal. And so it's available on Twitter Live. It's available on Facebook Live. It's also available on YouTube Live. So in the order of that I just talked about, if you want to watch us on Twitter Live, go to @CoffeeWithDems. If you want to watch us on Facebook Live, just type in Coffee with Democrats. And if you want to watch us on YouTube Live, just go to @CoffeeWithDemocrats7998. @CoffeeWithDemocrats7998. Elon Musk shorted us out on our Twitter side. And I still call it Twitter. He calls it X. I'm going to let him continue to call it what he wants to call it. I'm going to call it a dirty bird at some point. But it's @Coffee with Dems. He shorted us out of Kratz. Krats, I should say. Mm-hmm. So we're angry at him, and we're going to take it out on him every chance we get. So great to have you with us. Thanks for being with us, Crystal. It's so much fun to be with you. Thanks for coming on with us.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I'm excited to have a chance to talk about what we're doing out in Wagner County and the campaign and talk about Oklahoma politics. There's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on, absolutely. And we've got kind of some questions that I've got geared for you, but we can go off topic anytime you want to as well. So again, I'm going to make another housekeeping announcement for anybody who is listening in and watching here. And if you want to give a thumbs up, or if you want to make a comment, go to the comment section down below, down here, and make a comment and tell Crystal how much you love her and how much you're going to support her and how much you're going to financially support her. And you're going to take her for car rides so that she can do her neighborhood walks, and you're going to provide her with air conditioning and cold water whenever she gets done at the end of the block. We want to know all that stuff. So put it down below, right down here. So I'm going to give just a little bit more introduction. Save your voice. Let's save that voice a little bit. You know, like a professional singer, you're going to be talking here in a little bit. More about Crystal, and there's something in my narrative here that's wrong that you're going to have to correct me on. Crystal grew up in rural central Arkansas. You'll never know that by listening to her. Never, never. She's such a great person. Her family moved to Oklahoma in 2000. She acclimated very well. After living in Houston twice, and Tulsa twice, they finally called Oklahoma home and decided to stay here forever. Crystal and her family lived in Wagner County since 2008. She graduated from OSU in 2011 with a BA in political science and was named Senior of Significance. Senior of Significance. In 2016, she graduated summa cum laude with a Master's of Engineering in E-Governance Services and Technologies from Caltech in Estonia. Currently, Crystal works, this is where the problem is. Crystal works as a full-time.
Well, currently I'm working at a church in Tulsa, and I'm going back to school. So I started back at Phillips Theological Seminary. I'm getting my master's in theology and ethics. So that's the latest update on what I'm doing currently. And then we're running a campaign. We're trying to grow the ecosystem here in Wagner County.
Yeah, and ethics, isn't that exactly what Oklahoma needs right now, is more people with ethics. So congratulations on that. I'm looking forward to getting a graduation invite from you soon. Growing up in a rural community, Crystal knows what it's like to come from a small town. She understands the struggles her neighbors face. Crystal knows how the government is supposed to work and wants to see it helping the people in District 12. We need to give our kids a good quality education so they can compete in the job market of the future. We need better paying jobs in our area so folks won't have to struggle. Crystal said she is ready to get to work helping our community heal after these very difficult past couple of years. And boy, howdy, has it been tough. District 12 needs somebody like Crystal who is not afraid to tell the truth about a situation and find solutions to make things better. There's no time to waste on frivolous laws that will just be thrown out later. We need someone in our part of the state who cares about things that really matter, like school funding, fixing the roads, and securing jobs for our area. So help us begin this conversation, Crystal. Knowing you, I know you've got something to say. I want to take the leash off right now and say, tell voters why we should be voting for you.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to come on and our live event here. I'm a common sense candidate. I am very rooted in doing the research and making sure we know what the issues are at hand and how we can proactively do something to help the situation, not just going after partisan politics or whatever the latest social thing is. We really need to refocus on the important things like education and how we can save our schools. How can we have more jobs? There's no reason why we can't pull in more high-tech jobs and encourage some of that growth that's happening in Tulsa to spread out to Wagner County. And in infrastructure, you and I have had multiple conversations where sometimes it's hard to get me on the phone just because I live rural and my phone service isn't great out there. My internet service isn't always functional out there, and don't even get me started talking on the roads out in my area. I'm very grateful actually for the Muskogee Creek Nation, who does a lot of work in Wagner County. They've done a lot of infrastructure work, also bringing jobs to our area. So there are things at play in my district that I can see that are positive, but we need to grow those things more, and we need to talk to people. I'm so excited about getting out on doors and actually talking to people about what they're needing. What are the issues that are important to them right now? I know I'm hearing a lot about rent costs and grocery costs and things like that. And at the state level, we can influence some of those things. So it's time to take a very comprehensive view of how we can help just the average person in my district have a better life.
Right, right. It's so important for people to be able to have those tangible things that are available to them all the time. And thank you, Emily, for making your comment. I'm going to put it up here. Yeah, we need more door knockers. I mean, all the time. Just somebody that will take her for a ride and give her an air conditioner, because it's going to be a long, hot summer, and we just need all the support we can, because it's not about just financial support, and it's not about just the vote. It's about the total, what I would call total candidacy. It's about totally getting out there and immersing yourself with the people all the time. And I think Crystal is going to be the example of that, not the exception. So I did design this with 4 basic comments, or excuse me, 4 basic areas that we can talk about. And we can talk about your opponent. We'll find out, I guess, is it Tuesday that we'll find out who your opponent is, or did they run unopposed?
No. So we had at the beginning of, during filing this year, we had some very interesting maneuvering, and this is an open seat now. The incumbent did not run for re-election, and we had a new person emerge. Of course, my opponent did endorse that other person. However, we're excited to get out and really talk about the issues that we believe are important, and get out there on the doors before he has to, because I don't know that he will.
That's the deal. A lot of these people, they don't go door to door. They don't go to the talk with their constituents. They put themselves in a corner and basically isolate themselves in a room. Maybe they'll send out some mailers or some text messages. But one thing that I know of Crystal is, you might be able to outspend her, but you're never going to outwork her. She's going to work the heck out of people and shake the hands and kiss the babies and do all the things that a candidate needs to do, because really those are the tangible things that people understand and people appreciate. And that's what Crystal's going to be doing. Let's kind of talk about one of your biggest things that I think you've got the biggest platform for, and that's your education and the education of the people in your district. I think that's one of your strong suits. Talk to us a little bit about what you think is going to be the best thing for the education system throughout Oklahoma and the people that you represent.
Well, growing up rural, I didn't win the zip code lottery. I went to a rural school in central Arkansas. The big universities weren't coming and knocking on my door. But that didn't deter me. I did go to college. I did take a slight detour. I had my first child in my sophomore year of college. So then I started going part-time. And when my husband, who works in oil and gas, when he would move, I would go to the local community college. So I did part of my degree at TCC, and then before I transferred to OSU in Tulsa. And my educational journey was really important. And I know how important education is as we think about our local schools, especially in Wagner and Coweta and all these great little towns. The schools are really important, and we need to fund them. We need to support our teachers. We need to do what we can to give the kids the education they need to get the jobs of the future.
Right.
We're no longer looking at the same type of industries in our state and in our nation anymore. And some of these require either technical education or some sort of specialized training. And I'm not saying that every kid has to go to college, but most jobs these days do require some sort of post high school training, be
Exactly.
be it a tech school or college or training or some sort of certification. And all of those things should be made available. So I'm really passionate about education. When I was actually a business marketing major for years, and I was in class one day. I took operations management. I took, business and managerial financing and all of these things. And I was in my teacher's office one day, and he says, "Crystal, what is it that really drives you?" And I said, "I just want to fix education in Oklahoma." And he said, "Exactly how are you going to do that with a marketing degree?" And I was like, "That's a great question." And I went and I changed my major to political science the next day. And here we are now. I'm running for office for the second time.
Well, and how fun is that you're actually able to use the degree that you sought for? So many of us, myself included, we go for a degree and then we don't even utilize that degree at all during our career. Thank goodness mine did apply somewhat, but and I loved it too. But it's a different day now than what it was, 43 years ago when I graduated from high school. Back then, the average graduate, and I think a lot of parents still look at this maybe the same way, that get your kid through high school, graduate from high school, and then everything is wide open. And that's not the truth anymore. They've got to have some post high school education. You already talked about that, whether it be a trade school, to learn the trades. We need electricians, and electricians make outstanding money. We need plumbers. Literally, we need plumbers all over the state, and the plumbers make great money. I mean, great money. And we're not talking about having to go out and fix somebody else's broken pipes. We're talking about new builds and new construction. Plumbers make great money. So, those are just a few of the examples. Diesel mechanics, those are just outstanding trades. My son-in-law, who is a full-time farmer, had to go to postgraduate just to learn enough about, the equipment so he can work on his own equipment. It matters. It really matters. So thank you for talking about that, because those are important things for people to talk about.
Well, I would like to also say that I'm certainly not saying that we should, that STEM should be absolutely everything, that we should just teach those things, because there's a lot of value in arts education. For instance, when I went to college the first time, I went on a band and choir scholarship to college, and my musical, the musical fields that the musical classes that I took when I was in high school really served me well to help get me to college. So we want to keep arts education in our schools. So I'm not advocating for that, because I saw some legislation that was skulking around, that they were going to try to defund some of the arts programs, and that is not cool either.
No, and because once that takes hold, a generation from now, we won't have symphony no more. We won't have the ballet no more. We won't have the fine arts that we really need to have. And, we're going to go back to a utilitarian country where houses are just boxes. And that's not what it needs to be. I mean, architects, we need people who have that artistic background, who can apply that as both interior decorators, as architects, you name it. People who just build using their hands, whatever. It is that artistic flair that actually adds to the flavor and tapestry of our country. And so I completely agree with you. Thanks for talking about that and bringing that up. I'm glad you did that. And please continue to do that, because I really need to. Yeah, and I think the people who are watching this also want to hear more about those types of things as we go through and talk about, healthcare and jobs. But we've got one other thing about education. Let me say one other thing. We got a few other things to talk about with education, because education in Oklahoma is right now it's a train wreck. And I know about train wrecks. I worked 43 years on the railroad. And this is worse than any train wreck I've ever experienced. We've got a person at the helm who disparages the teachers, who disparages students, who is absolutely attacking our public education system. We have, and I'm trying to remember which amendment of the Oklahoma Constitution. It's like the Second Amendment to the Oklahoma Oklahoma Constitution is talking, or Article 2 talks about we will provide a free public education that is not associated with, with the church or any other outside influence. It will be strictly secular. And that was established when the state was founded back in 1907. So talk to us about your feelings about, how we need to build up the teachers and how we need to provide the students with, with the curriculum that they need just to get through K through 12, let alone what they need to do after they graduate. So, I'd like to kind of hear your take on that.
Well, I was just reviewing the latest. There was just the new guidebook. The book came out talking about how we're doing on educational attainment.
Right.
And if I remember correctly, our reading scores have come down again. So there are some issues around how the teachers are just being allowed to do their job. So shout out to my sister. She's a middle school teacher. And that is one of the toughest to teach. Yeah. But we need to do what we can to help them do their job better. So I know for sure that they passed some legislation that is supposed to control how many kids are in a classroom. I think it's supposed to be 24. My sister gets upwards to 35 kids in her class, and that's not education anymore. That's crowd control.
Right.
And I would love to see us do things like, some sort of block grants to allow for teachers to do some continuing education on different types of, methodologies on reading and those basics, reading and mathematics. Maybe even look at some of the international models. As you mentioned in my bio, I got my master's degree in Estonia, and Estonia is in the top is in the top 10, if not the top 5 on the international testing for kids for reading and mathematics. So there are other countries that are doing things better than we're doing, and we need to start emulating them. We need to do those fact-finding missions and see how they're doing those things, and then how can we incorporate that into our curriculums here? Because at the end of the day, we are breaking a social contract with the students and the parents of our state by not adequately educating the kids, and we're not doing right as legislators. We're not doing right by the teachers when we allow the superintendent of public instruction to just go wild and not get the grants he needs to, and to spend more time in his car shooting videos than he is in his office doing his job. So I'm excited that there are some Republican leaders who are actually looking into some of the egregious missteps that he has done, but we've got to do more. And I think we need to go to the teachers and ask them, hey, how can we support you better? I don't know that the current administration, and certainly the current head of the the public school system, is going to the teachers unions or the teachers themselves and asking them, hey, what do you need? It seems like he would just rather guess.
Yeah, and it's so disheartening as a teacher in Oklahoma to know that our current superintendent of public instruction is trying to get teachers from out of state to come in with a $15,000 bonus. If they're from out of state, he wants to give them a $15,000 bonus to come into the state and start teaching. That's like a slap in the face to the current teachers. Why don't we just take the money and give it to the people who are already here, who have proven themselves as people who want to live and stay in Oklahoma?
Well, Texas is poaching our best our teachers, the best and the brightest. As they're coming out of college, Texas is poaching them. Arkansas is poaching them. Louisiana, I think we've fallen below Louisiana on some metrics. I mean, there has to be a better way, and
absolutely.
That's what I hope that I can bring to the state legislature. That is, I can look at, where can we make, measurable change, and is it realistic to do these things? Is it going to, is it a long-term strategy? We'll in a little bit, we'll talk a little bit about the campaign. Right now, what we're doing in Oklahoma as Democrats is really trying to till the soil and create a place where, people want to run for office, where Democrats don't feel like that they should have to hide out and not tell their neighbors the things that are really that mean a lot to them. So I just want to do what I can and be an open door for teachers to communicate with me what they need. And I think there's a definite disconnect right now.
Right. Oh, I completely agree with you. And thank you for bringing that up, because it's so important for people to hear that, especially hear that from you. We're moving on here on time. We've got a few more topics that we need to talk about. And again, we need to still give you time to talk about your campaign before we end this. So let's move on to the next topic that we've got. Let's talk a little bit about healthcare, and particularly the healthcare crisis that we have going on in Oklahoma, and how doctors, professionals in the healthcare field are leaving Oklahoma. We got to do something about turning that around and retaining those people here. So tell us a little bit about your plan to do that.
Well, we definitely need to take a hard look at the legislation that may be, going to hamstring doctors from upholding their Hippocratic oath. They're here to do no harm. Two of my doctors are getting ready to retire. And if you're a young doctor coming out of medical school and you are, you want to stay in Oklahoma, yet the legislation is just so restrictive and you can't do your job, what would make you want to stay here? And are we going to create this sort of desert for healthcare here in Oklahoma, especially when it comes to women's health? I'm very frightened for women's health. And I'm not one of these conspiracy theorists that wants to take that slippery slope sort of thought process on everything. But when it comes to women's health care, it feels like we're going there. And it's not just from the state legislature, it's from the federal government as well. They tried to pass more legislation to secure IVF, to, kind of secure IVF as an opportunity, to keep that viable for parents, for couples that want to have kids. And they wouldn't pass that today in Congress. So I think we need to, at the end of the day, we have rural hospitals that are closing. And if you've noticed, and many of the viewers tonight may have noticed, you have all of these, sort of, my mom used to call them the doc in the box. You have this, you have these urgent care centers around, and this is a symptom, this is what they are doing for us because, oh yes, you don't have a doctor in your area. So here's this urgent care clinic where you can go and get a few things in case, in case of emergency, because, you know, to go to the hospital takes so long.
Right.
But we don't have hospitals, you know, out in the rural part of our county anymore. We have just some clinics and urgent cares now. And I do fear for women, especially who are expecting in my area. You know, if you need urgent care, you're going to have to drive in, you know, serious care. You're going to have to drive into Tulsa to get that.
Right. Right. And in some cases over an hour or more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had a friend, Wagner County resident. She is not in my district, but her daughter got really, really sick, and they had to life flight her to, I think, Tahlequah. So, I mean, we're creating a place where doctors don't want to be, and that's not what we want. As mothers, and, you know, we certainly want to have places for our kids to go. So,
right.
Healthcare situation and legislation that inhibits doctors from doing their job. This is really something we've got to take a hard look at and have a more common sense approach about.
Right. The extremism that we've got in the polarization within that movement too is so it's so demeaning, really, to women across the board, but particularly to poor women, people who don't have the you know, the ability, the financial wherewithal to overcome some of these the detriments that are particularly in rural Oklahoma. So, Christina, thanks for you put a comment in here. And before we go to that comment, I'm going to please again ask for anybody who is watching this to please go to your shares on your site, go down to comments, and share this with all of your friends, all of your followers, family members, neighbors, whomever you wanted to come on here and join, because this is a great conversation that we're having. And we're just now getting to the halfway point, and we'd like to have more people come on here. So, Christina, you put a comment in here. I'm going to put it up on the screen so that we can read it together. Christina says, healthcare, work on reversing legislation penalizing physicians from doing their jobs. Women's reproductive health care. Doctors can't do their work under those circumstances. Bolster funding, educational reimbursement, incentives for taking jobs at critical needs areas. Christina's right on money on this.
That's great. I'm there with her. You know, we have to trust women to know what they want to do with their healthcare choices. Right. We trust women with so many parts of our lives, raising our kids, doing our, you know, running households. I think we can trust them to know what they need in regards to their own health care. So, sure. The legislation that's targeting women's healthcare choices are frightening, and right. And it's not going to stop with just the things that they've blockaded so far. The legislature has the GOP majority has tipped their hand. They started talking about birth control and things like that last week. So we're right. Still seeing those things are going to be next. Again, hate to be that slippery slope person, but here we are. Right. And it's gonna take women in this state standing up and saying, "Hey, you know, that's not cool." Yeah. I think I know what I need, and doctors, right, they also know, they understand. There's so many tragic cases coming out of the states with these ultra restrictive laws, and we're just going to keep seeing more of them. If you, right. You know, just a cursory glance at Twitter, you'll see all of these very, very sad stories of women that had to be near death in order to get health care.
You know, one of the sad statistics coming from our state to the south in the first year or so after the Dobbs decision, there was somewhere in the neighborhood of 25,000 women who had been involved in rape who were pregnant. And it's just unbelievable that in just in one state alone, there was that much. And again, that compounds the healthcare crisis beyond, you know, talking about some of the most extreme measures. But again, it's so demeaning to women that, again, like you said, trust the woman. Do the most basic thing, trust the woman. Mark Wayne Mullen, who is the senator for the state of Oklahoma, he lives over on the east side of Oklahoma.
As I know.
Yeah, as we all do, and we just shake our head. He made a comment yesterday, and I applaud him for the comment. He made a comment that he and his wife struggled for years to have children, and they went through the IVF process, and they have children as a result of that. But then again, he turns around and says, "But no, we're not going to pass legislation that would make that, you know, something that would be granted to everybody." It's again, what they're voting for is, I want it for me, but not for thee, and that's the kind of the crisis that we're dealing with some of these people who are, again, taking away IVF treatments away from women, taking away birth control is going to be next. What else? What else? Are we going to be taking away, you know, what women during the suffrage movement struggled for, the right to vote, or the right to own property, or the right to do financial, again, those are slippery slopes that we can easily go down into those rabbit holes, and we need to stay away from them. But oh my gosh, it's just so disheartening to know that we are in the 21st century, and we've got people who are working so hard to just take us back in beyond the you know, into the 19th century, clear back 200 years ago, and remove rights and the progress that we've had. We've still got a little bit of time to talk about the healthcare. If you have anything more that you want to talk about, otherwise we'll move on to the next subject. Is there anything else that you want to bring up about healthcare?
Well, from my perspective, you know, if there is a way to, if we can stop this, you know, this pulling back if we can pull back some of this legislation that does do harm, and start implementing legislation that actually is favorable to just the basic needs, and then looking at how we can expand, you know, programs that would get more doctors, especially in rural areas, like Christine, I think, mentioned. We do need to make those investments because our population is aging, and we need to think about what are the ratios of doctors to population out in Wagner County. That's not great. Again, you have to go into Tulsa typically to get care. And we cannot continue to put all the pressure on these little urgent care places that may be cost prohibitive to somebody, you know.
Right.
And then they don't have access to an emergency room when they need it. So there's a lot around healthcare that we at the state level can do to try to solve some of these big wicked problems. And hey, at least we passed expanding Medicaid and Medicare out
a few years ago. Yeah,
this was really helpful, and a lot of people got coverage when that happened. So we need to expand that further.
Right. Now we're dealing with a nightmare with Sooner Care that I think that we'll get through that. But again, They're trying to use Sooner Care to undermine Medicare. But this is, again, there's other topics that we can talk about. We're losing our VA hospitals. I'm trying to remember exactly where it was down in southeast Oklahoma where the VA was closed, and the property was supposed to be given back to the Native Americans. And again, our state, Muskogee, yeah.
Maybe.
And that's just, it's so sad that, our VA hospitals, our veterans work so hard for our country to provide the democracy and the country that we have, and that now we're trimming those back, and those veterans who lived out there in rural Oklahoma and the far reaches of southeast Oklahoma are going to have to travel to Texarkana or to Dallas or up to Oklahoma City or to Little Rock, other places, just to get to a VA hospital for the services that they've earned. These aren't just things that were given to them. They earned that through their service and their sacrifice. Absolutely. So let's move on to jobs. Oh my gosh, we got a lot to talk about with jobs, don't we?
Well, I said some things at the beginning. I really would love to see more cooperation between local government and the state legislatures in regards to how can we expand these, when we're looking at what kind of opportunities we want to have in our areas based on, land usage and these sorts of things. How can we, encourage companies to come here? And I think that some of the tax incentives that have been proposed in the past have been good. And we also have to, that also forces the state to invest in infrastructure usually in some of these areas. But I would like for us to not give the companies everything, and because I think that they need to want to come here. I think they need to have skin in the game. I think it's important for us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's important that they want to come here because we're giving them what they need in regards to an educated workforce and some tax incentives and quality of life,
Right.
And as we pass legislation that wants to roll back rights for people, if you are a company and you're looking broadly at where to put your next, information hub or command center, why would you want to come to Oklahoma?
Right.
What are we doing that really makes them want to come to Oklahoma? And quality of life is huge.
Right.
This is a big deal for people. They want to know that their kids are going to go to good schools. They want to know that their wife is going to have adequate health care and is going to be able to vote next cycle. We need to do right by the people that are coming here. We also need to prepare our workforce for these high-tech jobs that we are trying to encourage coming here, right? So so they're not having to bring in all of their workforce in a way that is not helpful, because we already have a problem with inadequate amounts of housing here. So let's give the people who are already here a nice job to do, and of a living wage, making a living wage, and only having to maybe have one job.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing, is how many people are having to work 2 and 3 jobs and sacrificing sleep in order to and their family, their personal well-being and their family's well-being, just so that they can try to have a living wage, because we're only paying, minimum wage. That dog don't hunt no more. We know that's not a living wage no more. Minimum wage is far from it, and anyway, it's an issue that we need to address. But I wanted to comment. I was just trying to look up some stuff here. We lost Michelin from Ardmore. Because of a tornado, we just lost Dollar Tree down in Marietta. We had Panasonic, who wanted to come into Oklahoma, and they looked at Oklahoma very carefully, were given some very good tax breaks and some very good financial incentives to come here. And they bypassed us, went directly right on up to Kansas. And a lot of that has to do with what we're doing as legislators right here in Oklahoma. We are failing our own constituents because those companies are leaving us because of what we previously talked about. To me, it's so basic. If you're going to move to a state, you want to have a couple of things available. Number one, you want to have an education system for the families. Number two, and you want to have a pipeline of people ready to come in who are educated to be able to come into your company and start working. Because you're not going to just hire people that are workers. You're going to hire people that are going to be leaders as well. The other thing that's so critical is healthcare. When you have taken your most basic healthcare privileges and taking those away from people, causing hospitals to close, what's the incentive for these companies to come here? It's no wonder they're leaving, and it's no wonder that companies don't want to come here. And the company that did decide to come here, Canoe, they're taking all the tax breaks and all the, I think I might have touched a nerve there. I'm sorry. Yeah, the CEO is taking our tax dollars to buy himself a private jet to fly all over the place. And I'm thinking, when are we going to start seeing that return on investment? I really don't think we're ever going to see that return on investment. I'm afraid of that. I want to see a return on investment. I hope they thrive, but it just does not look favorable at this point. So,
but what if we weren't courting all of these big companies? What if, like Tulsa has done a lot in trying to grow the startup ecosystem in the Tulsa area? I think Oklahoma City also has a similar program. And so, why not incentivizing innovation to come in and maybe these startups only employ 5 to 10 people, but hey, that's 5 to 10 people that now have a good job that hopefully has benefits and pays them enough so they can live, right? So what if we stopped giving these giant tax packages to these big mega companies and really started investing in how can we grow all of these wonderful small companies that have brilliant ideas here in the area. So I think that Wagner County would be perfect for that. Once we get the infrastructure to where it needs to be, everybody has rural broadband, everybody's on a great connection, encourage people to start that business. I think we have to start looking at this out of the box. We cannot continue to do the same things over and over again and expecting a different result, right? And
that's the definition of insanity.
And if the state is not asking and doing these exit interviews with these companies that are leaving or with the companies that bypass them, then they're missing out on valuable information. We have to become a people that can take in new information, process that information, and formulate a new plan to something that maybe works.
Right. It's something as simple as that, this doesn't have to be rocket science in order to get a business to grow in Oklahoma. It's like we're investing so heavily into oil and gas, and we've seen that boom and bust of oil and gas since the 1920s. I mean, it's like you have 5 years of boom and 15 years of bust, but we're always looking for that 5 years of boom to come back.
But let me tell you, so my husband is in the oil and gas industry, okay. and so he's been doing gas compression for many years, for 20 years. I do want to dispel one myth. the industry is actually doing pretty great right now.
Sure it is.
There's a lot of drilling going on. There's a lot of capacity building going on. There was some drawback during COVID, just because of supply and demand, right? People were driving less, things were moving less. But the industry is doing okay. We can't just put all of our eggs in that basket. We have got to start diversifying as a state, and I am not going to say the oil and gas industry needs to just pack up and leave. No, but
no, not at all.
Also, they're doing okay right now, and then okay, so what else can we do? Because there's a lot of innovation here, and I will say the best natural resource that Oklahoma has is the kids. And what are we shortchanging them because we're not giving them an adequate education? So yeah, I think we have to take a more proactive and out of the box ideas in regards to job growth. We can't keep doing the same things, and I think we can build the ecosystem around Tulsa and keep expanding on what they're doing.
Oh, absolutely. So let's talk about campaign for a little bit. You got time to stick around and talk about campaign for a little bit?
I do.
Well, I thought that might be a subject that you want to talk a little bit about. So give us kind of a rundown, the skinny, on what you think your constituents need to know and what you want them to know.
Well, I wanted to run again because I found that the last time I ran, people were really excited to have a Democrat to vote for. Here in our county, they're about to elect a new sheriff, and that is a partisan race, and all the candidates are Republican. So the Republicans in Wagner County are about to choose our sheriff. So I find that being out there and just trying to encourage everyone to be a part of the process, and that's by giving them people to vote for. And so so that's what I'm excited to do, is just to, like I said, we really need to, as Democrats, we need to continue to build up the party again. You and I both remember when Oklahoma was not a totally red 77 county Republican state. We remember when there was more bipartisanship. I grew up in a blue Arkansas with a then Governor Clinton. So I remember when we cared about unions and we cared about schools, and that was okay. And somewhere along the way, I think we've lost our way, and I want to continue to just build up what we've started, and let people have somebody to vote for. We are anxious to get out and knock more doors, and we'll be at events when we can. And I do have wonderful volunteers like Emily and others that have already signed up to come out and talk to voters with us. So yeah, I'm encouraged by all of the feedback I've gotten so far. I'm also very much a realist. We have an uphill climb in my district. The last redistricting was not kind.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And so my district did get a little bit redder, but we do have a lot of independents, and I know the independents also enjoy having candidates to vote for. So I'm encouraging them to get out. And I'm very very easy to get in touch with if people want to talk about issues and learn more about me. We did mention that one of my expertise is in e-government. So
Right.
as I'm looking at what I would do when I went to Oklahoma City, it would definitely be to bring those skills with me to how can we streamline government and make online services easier for people to use and maybe even proactive. Can you imagine getting an email that says, hey, your driver's license is about to expire. Do you want to keep the old picture or submit a new one? You know, wouldn't that be great? Instead of doing like I did and showing up at the airport and went, oh, my driver's license is expired. Here's my passport.
Right. Yeah, that's embarrassing when that happens. And it's just like you said, it's completely within the realm. I'll be honest, I didn't spend all of my life in Oklahoma. I've traveled around, and in almost every state that I've been in, they sent renewals. They sent us notices of renewal. This state, it's just so bizarre that in some cases, some things that you do, they're very basic things that you need to know about, like your driver's license. I had to do the same thing you did. We were going someplace and it's like, your license expired yesterday. So don't feel like the Lone Ranger. That's not just a Crystal thing. That was a Kevin thing too. And I was just so embarrassed that happened. But
I think that government. So there are three. When I was in grad school in Estonia, one thing we learned, there are three schools of thought. So you have the Anglo view, right? That I put my professor hat on for a second. That the government is evil and it's out to get you. And then you have the sort of parental view, right? The government is your parent and it'll reprimand you when it needs to, and it'll take care of you when it needs to. And then you have the Nordic view, where the government is your friend. And the government is here to support you and help you. And I would love for us to get to that point where a government is helpful and people didn't view it as some big evil thing, but actually as a tool to help society grow and be better, and to do the things, to take care of the things that it needs to take care of. And like I said, I'm very pragmatic. I'm very much a realist, and I think it's time that we had more common sense in our legislature. So let's elect more women.
Good. So I got to get into some business right now. So I'm going to share a screen with everybody. I'm trying to get the screen to show up here. Oh, Kevin Dawson.
Well, we can tell people that they can go to crystalforok.com and check out my website.
That's what I have up here on my screen, and I can't get it to come over here so people can see that. Oh, my goodness.
It's beautiful. It's very colorful. There's a lot of purple. Purple is my favorite color, so you'll see a lot of purple there. But there's a place where you can sign up to volunteer. I would love to hear from you. If you would love to donate to the campaign, I would appreciate that. Yes, you did it.
Oh my gosh. That was like pulling teeth. Oh my goodness. So here's the deal we need to talk about is we've got to talk about how you can help Crystal. You join her team, just go sign up, get an email, and you get all kinds of updates on how you can help Crystal. She'll tell you where she's going to be at, where she needs the help, when she has a door knocking campaign, whether she's got a fundraising campaign or a party to go to, something of that nature. She'll give you updates on that. But from the very beginning, we've got to look at the pragmatic side of being a person running for office in today's age. We've got to look at ability to donate funds. And, it's your treasure. You spend it as you wish. We're giving you options here, but you don't have to stick with any of these options here. If all you can give is just a couple of bucks, just go down here and put a 2 with a period behind it and just give $2. If you can give more than that, just give what you can. Don't hurt yourself. That's never what we're asking for you to do, but just go fill this out. It's just as easy as giving your, creating an ActBlue account, paying with your card or your Google account or whatever it is that you can pay with. If you want to just count you in on multiple, or you can do this every monthly, you just click on this, yes, count me in. If you can't do it monthly, just say no. But this is the end all do all when it comes to Crystal's campaign. Another way that you can help here, and I'm going to stop this. Another way that you can help Crystal is through your time and through your abilities. You can work with Crystal with door knocking. You can work again, you don't have to go knock on the doors. All you got to do is volunteer to take somebody else like Crystal for a drive and take her to your neighborhood and drive her around. She'll get out at one end of the block. She'll do her thing. Pick her up the other end of the block, give her a cold glass of water, get the air conditioner on high so that she's not burning up, and then take her to another block so that she can do another set. And do that with other people too. And if you feel comfortable door knocking, please by all means do that, because the people in your neighborhood, you'll be shocked to find out how many people that you run into that agree with you. And if you can get those people that agree with you just to commit, don't put your check mark at the top up there with the R. Go down and vote for the person. That little comment right there will make the biggest difference in your county and in your districts, that you just cannot believe it. I follow one of our friends from Ohio, and he talks about this all the time. You've got to go out there and just make a difference and meet with people all the time. Crystal, it's been great having you on Coffee with Democrats. We're running in a little bit of overtime right now, but thanks for joining us. I really appreciate you. You're a great friend, and it's so much fun to do this. Thanks for dealing with this new platform and working through some of the issues, but it's great to have you.
Well, it's been my pleasure. I'm looking forward to our next adventure, and looking forward to seeing you again. And you have great content. Of course, I want to be a part of that. So thank you.
Well, we appreciate you and your kind words. We do have a closing that we have to put on here, so everybody please bear with us. We are great friends with a friend of mine that is from the east side of Oklahoma, from Pawhuska, Steve Holcomb, and please listen to this message from him. Thanks, Crystal, for coming on Coffee with Democrats. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks again.
This segment of Coffee with Democrats is brought to you by Steve Holcomb, Attorney at Law. With family ties to Oklahoma and the legal field that goes back as far as the early 1900s, Steve Holcomb is a well-known and respected attorney at law in Pawhuska, Oklahoma. You can trust Steve Holcomb, Attorney at Law, with your legal needs. For generations encompassing over 100 years, the Holcomb family name has practiced law and served the cattlemen of Oklahoma. From Marion Holcomb, Steve's great-grandfather, who became a judge among the lands of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes in southwest Oklahoma in the early 1900s, who then moved to Pawhuska to practice law, to his grandfather, Thad Holcomb Sr., and his father, Lee Holcomb, who both served as presidents of the Osage County Cattlemen's Association. The Holcomb name has been and still is the trusted name for Oklahomans. As an enthusiastic supporter of Coffee with Democrats, who promotes the Oklahoma standard of service, honor, and kindness, Steve Holcomb is the attorney we recommend going to when you have general practice legal needs. Call 918-287-8762. That's 918-287-8762 to schedule a consultation. Initial consultations may be provided free of charge, or go to holcomb.legal for more information.
So great to see you, and everybody who is watching here. Until the next time we're on, please be safe. Thank you.